So we went through sexual reproduction, which involves two sex cells, but we call them gametes. So a male sex cell, a male gamete, a female sex cell, a female gamete, they combine together and then they divide, right? They fuse together, form a zygote. That is sexual reproduction. What is asexual reproduction? Asexual reproduction is one parent. So you got one cell, and that one cell, I don't want to go too much into depth about it. It's called a process called mitosis, which we'll cover later on. But that one cell then divides and becomes two cells, which are identical to the parent because you use one genetic material. You're not combining a sperm cell and an egg cell, two genetic materials combined into one. You're using one cell, you're getting the genetic information from that cell, and you're dividing it to two identical cells. Because you're using one genetic material, these are going to essentially be clones of the parent, the one where you started off with. These two will be identical to the one you started off with. I could draw it out for you. So if this is the parent cell, it splits into two identical cells. They have exactly the same number of chromosomes as the parent. They are exactly the same. This is a process called mitosis. We're going to go into more depth about mitosis later on. But this is asexual reproduction. Now, because you're not wasting time searching for a partner, you're wasting less energy, less resources, and less time. So the population could grow more rapidly because you're not looking for, is there alpha male? Is there alpha female? Is there this? Blah, 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 blah. You are doing this very rapidly. So you're not dependent on the number of mates. So that is, so mate availability is not going to be a problem because you only need to depend on yourself. Also, you see some animals, like they get colorful tails, they learn how to dance and things like that to impress a female or maybe a male. In the animal kingdom, it's lots of males are actually the colorful birds are the males, because they want to impress the female and they'll learn how to dance. So they'll get adaptions just to learn on how to get a mate rather than getting adaptions for learning how to fly better or doing these types of things. So a lot of energy and resources are wasted in things that are not going to be needed if an organism divides asexually. Some organisms can divide multiple times in one season. Now, asexual organisms are very specialized to specific environments. So, if an organism is able to deal with hot environments, for example, their children are also going to be hot environments. They're not going to be any mutations where there's a slight change in the genetic code. We'll go through this later on, where some children will be adapted to cold environments. They will all be hot environments. So what happens if there's a climate change? What happens if there's a season change? Like just there's a change. Well, they're not going to be able to adapt because you have no variations in the population. They're all identical, and that could lead to death. The same as if a disease comes along. If a disease comes along, it'll wipe out the entire population because they're all identical. They'll all suffer the same consequences to the specific type of disease. When coronavirus came out, I don't know how many of you remember what coronavirus is, but when coronavirus came out, quite a few people were immune to it. They didn't get affected by it because we're all slightly different. But if everyone is identical, there's not going to be any variations in the genetic code. So imagine some people that are where coronavirus is very deadly to them, just genetics. Some people were young, they were healthy, but they still died to coronavirus because something to do with their genetic code. There's nothing really concrete about it. But imagine those people had, the whole population was just like the same genetic code as them. We would be in deadly trouble. Coronavirus would have been able to wipe out the whole human population.